merry-go-round. Take control like Charles in charge. I really can't wait. Let's stay in the garage. Oops, let me run upstairs. I get the whipped cream. Can't have ice cream without whipped cream. Plus a nice cube to make you sing. My main man did it and do the right thing. Come on, let me take you in all the right places. Keep my eyes open while I watch you make faces.
All right, you ready?
That's some clean rapping right there.
Clean. He's talking about putting whipped cream and ice cream on people and ice.
I know I'm making the joke because now we don't even do the that. We just like, come on, girl, just bust it open. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna use these words around it to describe it so you get the hint.
All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host. And we're live on a Saturday, ready to do feedback. Feedback is when we talk about the things that you had to say and interacted with us throughout the week, whether it was emails, voicemails, all the things are in the show notes. That's how you leave the feedback, and that's how you get your shout outs, and that's how we do this show right here. The official weapon of the show is
a taser,
and the unofficial sport,
football.
A bullet ball, extreme. There's a myriad of ways to support the show. We're right now having a sale, coronavirus quarantine sale part 4. Coronavirus. Where I'm seeing new people signing up to get that new deal so that you can, basically paying $8 a month to get behind the paywall. I'm seeing people, renewing their subscription for last year, but there's also people who just flat out choose to give us money. Like people that go to our website, they look on the right-hand side. If you're on a phone, you have to turn it sideways, but they look on the right-hand side and they're like, hey, I would like to give you some money. And we give them a shout out.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own, Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tied to the Blackout Tips.
New dough, let's go. Allison H, recurring donator. Deborah O, Stefan H, Mary H. The H's is coming through right now. Michael F, Jeff M, Corey B, Jonathan H, Brian B, Nicole F, J Full. That's now the F's coming through. Mako H, the H's is back. Marvin B, there go another B. Michael W, early days of photography. Asia D, Chriselle B, Annie P, Annie, oh yeah, okay, Michael S, Tom W Jr., and lastly Dana R. Thank you everybody who gave us the money that jingles and the money that folds. We appreciate you. All right, let's get into the people who left us 5-star reviews. We got one new 5-star review.
Yay!
Says funny. Awkward CC says more episodes on edibles, please. Laughing, smiling emoji. 5 stars. Thank you. I'll see what I can do. Okay, I got some new edibles in, and oh man, they are strong. Let's get into the actual shows on the episodes. We talked about $26.99. Flight or Fight is the title of this episode. It's a feedback episode, which means it's just like today's episode. We were talking about what you had to say. Mm-hmm. Busola says, hey, Rod and Karen, another lovely show as always. My favorite part of the chicken is the chicken neck and thighs. They are really delicious. That's because the poll was favorite piece of chicken to eat. So that's what happened. In somewhat unrelated news, I came across this article about Jimon Hansu, who gave an interview regarding his experience in Hollywood of being frequently overlooked. Please see the link below in case you want to check it out. Wishing you both a lovely week. More grease to your elbows. Cheers, Busola. Yeah, I did read this about Jimon Hansu and how he says he's struggling to make money. He said, I'm still struggling to try to make $1. I didn't see the actual interview. I read some of the excerpts. And of course he's right? We live in a colorist, racist, xenophobic world. Most of the movies are made in Hollywood. A man, if he was a white man, he would have probably been a bigger star.
Mhm.
He is a man that is notoriously known for taking bit roles. Our joke on this running joke on the show is Jamin plays characters with no last name.
Mhm.
And on the funny, it's funny just on his face if you go look at his IMDb how few of his characters have last names. And I've flipped the joke on his head to say like, oh, if you're auditioning for this part and it ain't got no last name and Jamin walk in, you just gotta get up and leave.
You got the role.
That's like the
joke.
funny way to look at it.
Yeah, that's a joke.
But the truth of the matter is, it means that so little thought has been put into the backstory of his characters, they don't have last names.
Right.
It means that he's often caught playing roles that are so secondary to the main character that he doesn't even have true motivations and a true life outside of that. He's done the best he can with those roles, but Jamin Hansu is a leading man in any other, if people see him as the talent that he is, as the attractive lead as he is, I think he's a leading man type of guy that's getting different types of roles and different type of parts. When he's in black movies, he's not treated this way. He's when he's in Beauty Shop, he's the fucking romantic lead, like the love interest. But white people don't see us that way.
They always go, we don't know what to do with you when you're black and brown and other.
Yeah, and often they, you're there to further along the plot for the white protagonist or to assist them in some way. Not that all his roles have been that, not that all his movies have been that, but just in general, I think it's a well-made point, and I think he may be over. It's possible that he's over. What do you call it? Over exaggerating the just trying to make a dollar, because he's been in so many movies. It's hard to imagine he literally, like, I doubt that's literal. And I feel like the way to detangle his point and try to like take the zap out of it will be literalist. People taking it, oh, he's made more than $1. What does he mean he's struggling to make $1? He's in 5 movies a year. He's getting paid. I wish I was struggling to make $1. White people that aren't doing as well as him, and as far as booking parts, but if he's not doing well, then what am I? I didn't get any parts. Well, I don't think he's being literal, but I think he's right in that an equally talented person who happens to be white would be making more money than he would, and he's probably been dealing with that his whole life.
Correct. He's been around for decades.
Suave P says, iconic line is the easiest money since I was hooking is in the Spotify ad y'all made. So although you may only remember saying it once, we hear it every episode. Oh, I was wondering. I was like, I don't remember saying that often. I think I said that one time.
We did a cut and they just replay it.
You never know which lines are gonna stick with people.
You don't.
Sandler Agony says, hey, Rod and Karen, I don't really have a take or a response to something. I just want to commend y'all on how you talked about the subject matter of beef and swarm. Work being how it is, I work 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts in that time span. And me being a film aficionado, I don't know when I'll get to it, but it really seems like both shows are for me because I'm like flawed, complex, and dense characterizations of characters and themes. Yeah, me and Bossy just did a This Too Much special edition where we talked about Swarm, Beef, and Snowfall on This Too Much. You can find that podcast by searching This Too Much wherever you get podcasts. It's there. And check it out because we got a little bit deeper into all 3 of those shows.
Yeah, and if you're a premium member, it got directly in your feed.
Actually, I haven't uploaded it yet. You just reminded me I'll do that after the show.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was in my feed.
No, that means I messed up.
My bad. Well, it's coming to your feed. Surprise!
He says, especially grief, which is one I can relate to on a personal level. I thought Karen expressed that extremely well. Really enjoy how everything was discussed from both of you. Yeah, and what's crazy is I watched it. Karen didn't. She didn't watch any of that stuff. So she's just vibing off of just the general themes and stuff I was talking about, All right, and then let's check the YouTube. Turn this volume down. Let's check the YouTube. No comments on Fight or Flight. No problem. But you just want to check, make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard.
Agreed.
The poll, favorite piece of chicken to eat was the poll. And it was a lot of choices. Okay. You got thighs, legs, breasts, wings, and other. Karen, what's your favorite piece of chicken to eat?
My favorite piece of chicken, I like legs. Legs and then thighs a second.
So 7.69%. Nice. Says legs. The highest one, who you think is the highest?
The breast.
Thighs. 36% of the audience prefers thighs. I did not know everybody else did, because when you go to a chicken restaurant or go to the grocery store, thighs is like, they giving them away
at the bottom of the barrel. I remember I don't know if they still do this, but over at the Harris Teeter, when we would go in, if you go on certain days, they would do like their chicken quarters, and they would be like 10 cents a pound or some shit like that. So I would buy the chicken quarters and just cut the leg and the thigh for for a fraction of the price than if I would have bought them in a pack. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, they were just basically like, don't nobody want chicken quarters.
And so thighs is number one. I'm surprised, just because of how little they cost. Breast is the breast. Oh, I'm sorry. Thighs is number one, and wings are tied for number one. Top thighs and wings. That makes sense to me. Then after that, it's number two is breast. Number three, quote unquote, is breast. And then it's legs, and then it's other. So
yeah, because the thing about breast, I love chicken breast, but the thing about it, if you don't know what you're doing, you can easily overcook it, and so too many people overcook it. So I'm like, I'm good on that. Like unless it's like, and if it's smothered in something, it kind of has a tenderness to it. But if you like doing any form of like a frying or applying like heavy heat to it, you actually got to know what you're doing. Or use a thermometer or something, because there's nothing worse than somebody has this big ass pretty piece of fried chicken breast and that bitch is dry.
That's the reason I'm not a huge fan of chicken breast. It's mostly just that the room for error is so much less. A great, perfectly juicy chicken breast is probably top tier, but it's just, I've had experience from other people cooking, and so a couple times fucked it up myself, where it just, I was like, fuck, because thigh, like it just insulates itself with the juices and marinates.
And it's more forgiving.
Yeah.
Not even in the 5 minutes too long. A breast, that's done. The thigh be like, you know what, you ate.
Meanwhile, with the people with money on Spotify, 45% thighs. That's huge. Okay.
Then you know why they like them thighs? They like them thighs because they be going to the strip joint throwing the dollars for the thighs.
Sure.
Because they the people with the money.
I mean, no. I just think the correlation of liking stripper thighs and what piece of chicken you eat is very loosely correlated. Like people don't eat chicken butts, and I know people like butts, Karen. Okay. They also like breasts, and breast came in third. So I'm just saying this is a loose correlation. Is all. It's just. Wings.
Y'all see how he just killed the joke?
Am I killing the joke, or am I helping the joke be better? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll take it as a punch up. Thank you for your notes.
I'm sorry for helping. 20. Next time I'll just laugh and pretend that, and then we'll let somebody write in with that same point.
No, thank you for punching up so that we won't get the random letter. Thank you.
Wings 21%, breast 18%. Legs 15%, and then other 1%. So that person might eat the chicken, but I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. Keep it real was the Q&A. Kadian says shaping public discourse is powerful. Beef was met overwhelmingly with praise for its content. That only lasts so long. Negativity galvanizes. Power over the discourse using the show was definitely a factor. Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, I can never prove this, right? So this is just my feelings, and agree or disagree is fine. I'm not really fielding other people's opinions about it, but it's just how I feel. I think there is some form of almost like narcissism or control that certain people are trying to have through the internet to sabotage these shows and to sabotage the conversation and turn it into a conversation that ultimately leads back to them. I'm not even sure they're aware of it, but the impulse to destroy or co-opt a conversation that was gonna be mostly about how great this show is, how much the AAPI community came together and made a great show without the involvement of all these outside forces. the acting, like it was going to get a lot of credit, and I just feel like the online conversation turned into something else, and it's become a thing that happens almost every time a critically acclaimed or extremely hyped show comes out. It's not that we're having a conversation about the shortcomings of the show as much as it's some sort of targeted personal attack on the people involved in the show somehow. And I think it is odd how often that happens and that no one's put it together as a pattern. Like we keep talking about it like it's a separate incident over and over and over. But if you stop and think about it, it's like, why are people doing everything like this?
Yeah, and also it's a coordinated, uncoordinated thing. It's like it's uncoordinated because everybody's kind of doing all this shit individually, but it's coordinated because y'all all do it at the same time for the same things, if that makes sense. So it's like it all looks like it's coordinated, even though it's quote unquote not, but it kind of is, because like that's the quote unquote trigger or the thing or whatever to set certain groups of people off, and then everybody is like they running the course after that. But the event has got to happen, which is the coordinated part.
Keenan Garrod says, I hate to be this guy, but in the spirit of keeping it real, the whole thing about Kang the Conqueror is that he killed all the other Kangs, which is why he's so powerful. It makes recasting a little bit hard. I disagree. I think the fact that there's so many different versions of Kang, and we still haven't met the one that they necessarily think is the Conqueror. We just keep meeting these versions, these variants of him. They could just vary his ass to another dude and be like, this the Conqueror. He the one that won, and this is different. You know, I think a similar thing in the comic books and maybe coming to the screen, we'll see. But Miles Morales, if you guys have ever read the comic book Miles Morales Spider-Man, he has an alternate universe version of himself that looks like a more of a white passing Latino. And he is the product of a biracial marriage, meaning we've seen that there's a range and a scope of people who are biracial, even in the same family. Shit, you have two black parents, and even in the same family, those kids can have different skin colors, complexion, hair texture, stuff like that. Meaning there's a lot to this multiverse shit that could make it easy. I think it'll only be as hard as people want it to be. And I think people wanting it not to be, people have been rooting for Jonathan Majors in a lot of ways. He became a liberal darling to people for doing very little, by the way. No offense to that man or whatever, but like he wasn't really doing anything. He was just very strong and wearing like clothes that some might regard as like not the typical masculine clothes, and while looking extremely buff and all this stuff. And just people started feeling like they needed a mascot for different causes and shit. And so now I think they're at a point where like they don't want to lose him, quote unquote, and what he represents. But I guess my mentality is like, you never had him. You never knew him to lose him. He's just a guy, and I'm not rooting for his downfall or for his come up. It's just more of a like, if this shit is true, people gonna have to do what they gotta do, and people will understand, and y'all still gonna go see the Marvel movies. Or if it's not true, then at some point he need to put this shit out and clear his name, because his lawyer keeps swearing they got all this evidence that proves he's innocent, and I just haven't seen it. So,
and also the thing is, all jokes aside, it's called a multiverse. And
can you speak up a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And the thing about it is, it's called a multiverse, which means you have multiple universes, which means literally you can have a completely different version of this same character. In the comic books, they have multiple versions of the character that he's playing. So in the way that Ant-Man ended, he could come back as any different version. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's hard to move on if they choose to move on. Like they can literally move on with anybody else if they choose to.
Yeah. Keisha says, I really like chicken thighs because it has the most meat in my humble opinion. Yeah, and it even got that like little piece that y'all know the little piece I'm talking about that be stuck in the corner. Love that piece. Karen and Rod are always, Raphael says, Karen and Rod are always 100. That's why I fucks with them, even if there's nothing else to do. Sal, they still keep it real.
Nothing else to do.
Thank you, man. You know, I pride myself on that. You know, the thing I've been very proud of, and the thing I think the compliment I love the most is when people say stuff like that, because I don't want to do a show that's just regurgitating what y'all already believe right back at you. I don't want to do a show that's dishonest. I don't want to do a show that is painting things as black and white when it's not to me. And I always want to do a show that's authentic to who we are. And I think we've been able to accomplish that. And the ups and downs that come with that. There's people that don't fuck with us because of that. There's people that love us because of that.
Right.
And I just concentrate on the love, but I'm glad y'all fuck with us.
Yeah, it's also one of those things, we talked about this on the show before. We have a mentality where we don't have to catch them all. The object of what we do is do not catch everybody. We understand that what we do is very unique, and some people are going to look at what we do and go, it's not for me. And that's all right. Like, I don't take it personal or anything, because guess what? Everybody's like that. You know, there's some podcasts I listen to, I like, that's my jam. There's some podcasts I listen to, I'm like, I'm not the targeted audience. And that same podcast, other people, that's their jam. So it's one of those things where nobody's going to quote unquote catch everybody. And I'm content with that, because the podcasts that catch everybody, when you catch everybody, you get everybody's fucking opinion and all that other shit that comes with trying to catch them all.
Yeah, I think I'm in a place now where I can handle, even if we got more attention and more people, I think I can handle it now more than I would have been back in the day. I would have been more sensitive to it and more bothered by it. Mm-hmm. But I'm not really, it's just the freedom of being ourselves is more important. And it's more important than any one listener. It's more important than anybody liking me. It's more important than, it's so important, man, because first and foremost, I have to love myself, and I can't love myself if I'm lying. And I think the platitudes that people speak in, every podcast claims to keep it real. Every podcast claims they going off, they doing this, and they're being authentic. But I think when you watch how people move, you see it's just not real. It's not. It's like it's incongruent with the way they talk. But I don't think people can say that about me. I don't think people can say that about Karen. We move how we move, and we align how we align, and we just always ourselves wherever we're at. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I do. I think that's very important to know the characters and kind of who we are. And it's one of those things where you either accept it or you don't, and we're content with that. And I do agree that now, since we've been doing this for a long time, if the podcast was to, blow up and things like that, I could handle it a whole lot better than I, would have. And I look at other people and how they handle things, and I already know there are certain things, like if this podcast was to grow, certain things that I would stop doing, certain things that I would cut off, certain things that I would put in other people's hands, because you have to do what is best for you. And I've seen how the internet functions.
Well, you always say that, but I do wonder what that really looks like. Like, what number do you have in mind? What, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people say this is not just about you. Everybody, I would stop being on the internet, I would stop doing this. But I feel like it's more like a frog in water or something where the heat is being turned up a little bit at a time. We now have probably 10-fold listeners and all that stuff since the first time you ever said you would stop doing all this if we got more popular. I think this is what happens to these huge celebrities too. It's not overnight. It's not a one-day thing, right? So you don't have a delineating line to be like, I'm getting off the internet, I'm not looking at my account. Why wouldn't you? You were looking at it yesterday. So you're probably going to be looking at it. I think the difference is not in like, I'm abandoning all my platforms. I think what happens is like, you just either can handle it or you can't. Like, people going to say shit about you, and it's a trickle that just keeps trickling forever. And then eventually one day you're looking up and you're like, oh, I've either adjusted to the fact that people going to have some opinions I don't have to respect that they say to me, or I am so sensitive that I'm going off all the time and I have to get off my platform because I can't stop myself. That's why I think people end up in that trick bag. I think everyone has the idea that you have, and I think we rarely see it executed because there's not a marker. So what's your marker for when you are getting off the internet?
I don't know what the marker is. Like, that's true. I don't know, but I do know me. And once I put like this. I know me and how I function on the internet and what triggers me more. Like I have a better understanding of me than I did before. So that's why I say I quote unquote could better handle it. Because once I see things start irritating me, I will cut the shit. I'm like, I'm good. I know where it's going. I'm good. Versus, like you say, you not really knowing who you are, or you don't know where your trigger points are, or you don't know where your boundaries
Yeah,
is.
it's just, I think
so.
there's
I'm like, I reached that point. I'm out.
Yeah, there's just like this thing of, and I think, like I said, I don't think you're alone in this. I think it's a very popular point of view that you have, which is this: if I make it to blank, I am handing my accounts off to someone, right? Which is always an interesting premise, number one, because it's like DMs and shit, personal stuff in your account that some company gonna be seeing. Like, you gonna go back and delete every DM from 2010? Probably not.
No.
But that, I think it's like it's almost like a pipe dream, because at the end of the day, there's not gonna be just a moment when you know, like, this is it. Because I think that's why you see like a Cardi B going off on IG Live to this day sometimes, and you're like, why is she still even on there? It's like, because it's the temperature was going up 1 degree at a time. She didn't just have it was 30 degrees, then they threw me in the fryer at 250 and then I'm burning. Like, and I think, anyway, it's just an interesting thing that you say it all the time. I think about this all the time. I think about it when I hear other people say it all the time. I think about it with myself. Like, and I can see that moment is a much harder thing to gauge when you're in it. It's easy on the outside to be like, this person should have did this, but I think on the inside, being that person, it's like, how do you know? Was I supposed to give up my accounts when I got a job for HBO? Was I supposed to give it up when we went to Spotify exclusive? Was I supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like, when is this moment? Because someone on the outside looking in can make the argument those moments passed already, and I'm still on the internet, and you too.
Yeah. It just depends, and I guess everybody has their own quote unquote their line, whatever their imaginary line is that they may or may not reach. Because if that's, think about what you said. If that's the case, what if everybody gonna stay on the bitch forever then?
That's what I think is gonna happen.
I'm not trying to be funny. Like, I'm just analyzing what you sound like. The fuck then,
Well, I don't know where the frustration is coming from. I'm just like, don't be frustrated with me. I'm just pointing out the fallacy of everyone thinking this. It's like an addict that's like, when I sell this DVD player, I'm gonna get off this crack. It's like, that doesn't even make sense.
No,
you're gonna sell the DVD player, then you're gonna look around like, what else I got to sell? I think we're all kind of addicted to social media, and I think we all have like this pipe dream of like, enough, I'll go cold turkey. And I'm like, I think at least what I found to be successful has just been adjusting to what I share, adjusting to who I talk to. I'm still in control of my social media accounts. I still see my mentions. And I think the you that existed 10 years ago that probably said this same thing, if you fast forwarded 10 years ago to today, and you went back to that 2013 Karen and said, 2013 Karen, you now have this many followers, your podcast has this many listeners, you've traveled, you've done live shows, you've been on HBO, do you think you're still on social media? You'd be like, no, I probably got off years ago because I already did what I set out to accomplish, but you're still on there. And 10 years from now, when you're twice as successful as you are now, you'll still probably be on there, just because it's going up 1 degree at a time, not 100 degrees at a time.
And I do understand what you're saying, but also is one of those things I said, you either take a little bit of drugs, a whole lot of drugs. And I could go days sometimes without actually being online. So, it's not one of them things where before I was online every day, all the time. Mm-hmm. So, for me, not that I would quote unquote give it all up, but I would just cut back. Like, you wouldn't see me on there as much.
It's all reasonable. This is only me asking you a question because you said this so many times. That's all right, but you still on there. So it's like I was like, you're saying a thing that I think sounds good to your head, but then it's like in execution, there's not really a plan. It's just like Man, if these motherfuckers, if these
y'all
one
start
day,
talking to me fucking sideways. I get off this bitch. Because I'm sensitive about my shit.
I know.
So
It's-
I know me. You talk to me crazy. I'm like, bitch, who the fuck is you? But before I do that, I will delete that fucker. Fuck
Okay.
that.
All right, we've reached a tipping point. There's something for you. I've been thinking about this for years, and I've only presented this
Okay, I'm
concept.
sorry.
To you
I
today.
guess I'm at the beginning stages of it. I haven't worked my way through it yet because I'm like, fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah, I think people are more likely. I think there's a power in talking about like quitting cold turkey, but people are much more likely to do what you're doing now, which is to cut back and find ways to acclimate, because social media, especially in the space that we're in, independent, is going to always be part of what we need to be able to do.
Agreed.
So I don't think like this idea of you just not existing on the internet, I'm not sure when that's supposed to happen or why that's supposed to happen, but the ideas of me handing my passwords to some fucking stranger, to me, is not as appealing as people make it sound. That's because I'm trying to deconstruct the ego around saying like, I'll quit this motherfucker. Like, what? Why would I do that? I would like money. I would like to be employed. I would like people. So many people have found our show from our social media and sharing it. I'm not gonna give it up because somebody called me a bitch or whatever. It's like I'll block that person to keep moving. And those are the adjustments I've made over my life. I'm happy and I still have social media, but a lot of the reason I'm happy is because of the adjustments I made in my life to the fact of I'm gonna always have it,
Yeah, and also, I cannot say, truth be told, I think a lot of my attitude is just, I'm keeping it real, just PTSD from watching you go through some of the things you went through with Bernie So Black and all that stuff. Like, it impacted me too, because I was here too. So I'm looking like, oh, fuck, no, the fuck I'm gonna deal with all that bullshit. Y'all kiss my whole black motherfucking ass. Like, I know me. I know
you too.
I'm like, I would not deal with that.
Right.
So, but at the same time,
the thing is, I wouldn't deal with that again either. But I also wouldn't, I made it through that. I didn't delete all my accounts and shit. When stuff happens now, I just have different coping strategies for dealing with stuff like that. And also, it adjusted how I use social media. I don't use it in a way that typically courts that type of shit. And when I do, there's just ways around dealing with it. So I just think, like, according to you, I should have deleted my Twitter, and been like, fuck it, I'm just out here, like, it's just, and I think everyone says this. Everyone says it's like, there's a magic number. And so I find it interesting. You are my test case in this scenario. But I would do this with anybody I was on the mic right now. If they said that, I'd be like, what's the number then? Because I
nobody has a number.
Right, because I think it sounds good to say. It just don't really make sense. It's not really a plan. It's like when people say shit like, if so-and-so did me like that, I get a divorce. And it's like, okay, all right. But then you probably haven't ever been through anything like that.
Agreed.
So you really don't fucking know. And there's a lot of people that said, if this happened, I get a divorce, who are still married or whether it's happy or not, they didn't do the thing they said they do. So anyway, Raphael says, James says, just for clarification, the ghetto gag comment wasn't meant to be a kink shaming one, just a joke in nature. I didn't take it as kink shame. I mean, it's funny and it's kink. The joke is kink shamey, but I don't know. It ain't. I honest to God think about that whenever I make jokes about sex, consensual sex between people.
Right.
I think most people don't. There's something puritanical inside of us. There's something religions. We've been guilted. We've been shamed, and it's hard for people to discuss these things. And it's humorous, right? There's funny in the ridiculousness of porn. Porn is one of the most ridiculous things on the planet, and I think I really try to remind myself more than I'm trying to remind y'all, okay, this could come off like I'm shaming somebody, but if I truly believe in the things, the values I hold,
right,
I have to be like, hey, if a motherfucker want to let somebody piss on them on camera, I don't want to watch it, but some motherfucker want to watch it. Right. Some motherfucker want to do it. Some motherfucker got that check. Good for y'all.
Yeah, I'm not hating.
But I wouldn't, if it was a club call, we pissing on people in here, I wouldn't step foot in it. It just ain't my thing. But and I try to be mindful of that because I think we've attached so much shame, and most of it coming from religious shit that really shouldn't even be bothering us. We've attached so much shame to just sex. I think the same impulse that's telling us don't educate your kids about sex. The bullshit with the drag queen stuff that's happening right now, drag shows, all of this stuff comes back to some puritanical shame around just sex and sexuality that, while I understand the impulse to want to protect people, it's turned into more of a let's go get people. And people refuse to just say some shit ain't for them. So I wasn't trying to take it to a place of thinking you were kink shaming.
No, baby.
But that is Ghetto Gaggers is by far, as a concept, one of the just my most fucked up concepts. And at the same time, longest running concepts. What the fuck? People still doing that shit. It's crazy. You can't be serious on it, much like critiquing the porn movie. This can't be Roots. Yeah. This can't be Roots is the boy.
This can't be
I don't think I've
Roots.
ever laughed harder at a porn trailer than This Can't Be Roots. Because it just felt like these niggas are gonna get drop squatted. Y'all remember that movie, The Drop Squad? You remember that? Where
that's very old.
It was picking up coon black people and like torturing them and making them not coons anymore.
Oh no.
Man, we need to reboot that shit in 2023. God, I would love to write the sequel to Drop Squad. Craig fake Candace Owens and fake Jason Whitlocks be fucking them up. All right, anyway. Episode 2700. The Unblackening. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon got fired on the same day. How you get fired on your day off?
I know both of them.
Ramsey D. Jenkins says 5 stars because Rod is out here doing all the things. Karen, keep dreaming big. # black capitalism. # black excellence. # stay rooting for black people.
Oh, I'm gonna keep dreaming big. I will, baby.
Eve says the way that TikToker was going off about being asked to turn his radio down, you would have thought that man called him nigga with the hard ER. Honestly, the white man probably did when he got home. LOL. That's funny. But he's lucky that white man didn't get out the car and blast him and claim he feared for his life. Just like on the show Beef, you never know what people are going through, and a lot of them have guns on hinge. I think about that a lot, man. I'm not polite and patient out of. It's not necessarily like a selfish thing, but it has worked out in that these motherfuckers out here crazier than ever. And like approaching somebody without the emotionality, the heightened thing that a lot of people have, like I was reading an article where a man was firing guns in his like back lawn, and it was so loud it was keeping the next door neighbor's babies up. So they went over there and told him to stop shooting the guns, and then he went over there and killed 5 of them, except for the 2 babies. And now he's on the run in Texas, and it's obviously not their fault. They did nothing wrong, I'm sure, and obviously no one deserves that. But part of me wondered, because it's totally reasonable, but motherfucker is firing loud ass guns and your baby won't sleep. You're probably not walking out there and just saying it in the most polite terms anyway. You're probably like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing? If that's not even the first time, if you know what I'm saying, like it can make you so upset, and then you don't know who's unhinged. You don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, you knew this man had guns, but you don't know that he'll just kill 5 people because he didn't give a fuck. And if that means he's killing himself later, if that means he's going to prison forever, it don't, like, that decision has already been made by that person. And it's just scary that we live that close to the razor's edge at all time. And so, I wouldn't pull out my phone and do the video, not only just because I don't think that was a racist exchange that he had. To me, it's just like, what's the point of escalating this?
That's my thing, escalation. Yes.
Yeah, and that's probably just my point of view. Obviously, other people see it differently, and you're allowed to see it. But if I was eating lunch with that dude, the black dude, and he started pulling out his phone to make a TikTok video while we were sitting there about this man, I would have got up and fucking left.
Me too.
I would have just been like, bro, there were 10 other ways to handle that shit. You chose the way that just escalates the shit. That just is leading to more conflict. And
I like to de-escalate.
And it wasn't a returning in kind. It was an escalation. Now I understand what I'm saying. It's not. This isn't me being like, you need to let white people do what they do for massacre. No, I'm saying a motherfucker was like, hey man, you got your phone turned all the way up, man. We all out here trying to eat. Like, it's a little bit disruptive. I'm gonna pull my phone out, do a TikTok video. It's like, oh, okay. Oh God.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the meal is check, please. The meal is over. Let's go somewhere else.
You know what else is a response he could have had that I would have also not enjoyed this response, but it could have just kept listening to your shit out loud.
And not said anything.
Could have been like, man, fuck it. I'm out here. I got the right to listen to my shit loud. I don't care if people don't like it. This is what I'm doing. He could have kept doing that shit. But anyway, it's not worth it to get agitated over something you can easily walk away from, because then you get to live another day. Yeah. Abia says, I understand the impulse to say Tucker Carlson will find a new, even worse home and that he will not feel any consequences, but I am assure you, someone with such a big ego is suffering now. Maybe he will not. Bill O'Reilly, for example, lost relevance for sure. Yeah, people always try to do that with Tucker Carlson, and anytime there's a victory for like the left with this kind of stuff, it's always like, it's gonna get worse. Well, I have two names for you that didn't get worse: Bill O'Reilly, Glenn Beck. They are much less of a fixture in the right-wing spectrum, much less of a problem, much less of a platform for them. So I disagree. Like, this is only a problem if you think there was some reasonable way that Tucker Carlson would go away forever and we never hear from him again. I don't think any reasonable person was thinking that was a possibility. None of us are sitting around like, yep, there we go. Finally got Tucker Carlson. He'll never say a word. No. Now, the other thing a lot of people don't know, these big ass contracts they be signing, and a lot of times they still get their money at the end of the contract. Mm-hmm. They have non-compete clauses in them most of the time. So they can't just hop on another person's airways and do the show
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So it may be years, if at all, these people can come back. And depending on the violations they had, some of these companies won't touch them again. Just, Bill O'Reilly was easy because it was just all this fucking, sexual harassment shit. There's not almost no company that can bring them back in their doors. Glenn Beck, I don't know why he's never made it back. Maybe it's because he broke at some point and started apologizing and trying to be reasonable. I don't know, but he ain't never made it back to where he was. And I was a person that thought maybe he was going to be more of a force on like YouTube or something like that, but it didn't really come to fruition, did it? All right, let's get to the poll. Oh, go ahead.
And do you think it has something to do with the timing of Bill O'Reilly and the other dude? Because now the internet is different now. People have more stands now. So do you think that would make a big difference versus they kind of hit that period where, it happened, but it wasn't as...
So here's why I don't think that.
Okay.
The TV audience isn't the same as the internet audience.
Okay,
the old people that keep the TV on Fox News aren't going to YouTube.
Right.
The second part of that is it should have worked. It was easier for Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck. Think about what works for people on YouTube that have really blown up. It's mostly longevity.
Yeah.
Like if you started if Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly started doing the YouTube 5 years ago, they should be a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
But also the thing is, these guys are dinosaurs for the most part in that they don't really adjust to the new medium. YouTube isn't the same as TV. No. Podcast isn't the same as TV. You don't have the same, like, even you can have the same exact production staff, but that don't mean they know how to do social media.
All right.
With Game Theory, we had a social media manager that ran shit, and Priya was on her shit. Like, she saw things in a lane that was like, this is gonna work and this isn't gonna work. These dinosaurs don't always have that. They don't hire people like that in a lot of cases. So it's not that it's impossible. It's just very unlikely to be as powerful away from that Fox News platform.
Right.
2 comments on YouTube, speaking of which. Elliot says, in his defense, they are outside. Like, any car can come by and play anything. If Bob was chill, he would have tuned it out. So, one, you're right in that he could have tuned it out, right? The white man could have tuned it out. But where I think you're missing is it's not a car driving by playing a loud sound. It's a car pulling up next to where everyone's eating and just plotting down and playing whatever the fuck they was playing.
And go, y'all got the deal.
Yeah, that's the difference in
Mhm.
your comparison. So that's why I reject the comparison, because I know that, that to me it's just not even in the same universe.
Yeah, because if you were just riding by, wouldn't nobody have said shit. But for the fact that you parked there for 10 minutes, that's like somebody coming in your neighborhood and just turn up the music, just sitting in the cul-de-sac and be like, I'm not going anywhere. Eventually somebody come like, hey!
Yeah, this
hey,
wasn't
stop.
this wasn't a man going, I'm outside and I expect there to be zero noise.
Right.
We're like Elliot is trying to turn it into that so that we can have some type of, the devil's advocate situation, but that wasn't the situation that I saw. As Carter says, 100 for the ignorant black man for doing all that. When you turn stupid-ish into racism, you trivialize real racism. I hate when people play their phone combos, music, whatever, when around other people. That's just rude. Yeah, I feel like everybody kind of agrees with that.
So a lot of people like, just use headphones, dog. Like, what is wrong with headphones?
Like, you might not always confront them, but you've been on a train or a bus or a public situation, a movie theater, somewhere, a restaurant where someone was just loud on their fucking like phone, and it is very disrespectful of the other people's like time and space there too. And
right.
And if you don't agree with that, you're either the asshole who does it or you're lying. Like, it is what it is, but this is not a crazy this white man went crazy. What a racist piece of shit. He would have never said this to anybody. I'm like, that's not the situation. Elliot replied to this comment and said, yeah, true. This generation needs some stoicism. You got to be an adult. Devil's advocate. That explains his other comment. Devil's advocate. They are outside though. You will be subjected to noise. Devil don't need no advocate on our show, bro.
He can take care of it all by himself. Trust me.
If we wanted to do devil's advocate, we make a devil's advocate segment on the podcast. we don't need that. Have you ever shot at someone because they had the wrong address? Yes or no?
No.
96% of our audience says no. Meaning,
oh shit! Who is these people that's out here capping?
I don't know. They busting on people.
Apparently so.
Pulling up to the wrong address. Man, they didn't leave any comments, so we'll never know. And then same like different percentages, but one person said yes, basically on Spotify. 99% said no.
Let me tell you why. The 99% got high security. That 1% is like I'm taking it into my own hands.
It's hard to eat chicken with shaky hands. Was the comment. Tiffany says, I can't stand when folks do that shit. Your community got your back if you make sense, my nigga. Rod was right. So performative, shaking my damn head. Yeah, and like that's the other thing. You pulling out that phone is clearly like you trying to turn this into content. It's it's like me and Bossy used to talk about this all the time, especially that summer when the Karen videos were all going viral and everything. And I know I've said on the show before, it's like, I don't know that even if something actually racist did happen to me, I don't know that y'all would ever get to see me film it, because it's not my first impulse when dealing with racism,
right,
to pull out my phone and be like, how can I broadcast this to the internet for content? Like, maybe if I got home and did the podcast and was like, oh, this is how my day went. But I just think in the moment, I'm more focused on the racism than the like, oh shit,
yes.
It's my turn. Hold on. Ma'am, can you please be racist for a few more seconds? Hold on a second. I gotta get to the Instagram live. Hold on. I'm not getting good reception. Okay, stay right there. Hey, it's your boy Rod. I'm dealing with some racism right now. Go ahead and say what you were saying. I was let's start it from the top. Okay, I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna say what I was saying. Ma'am, could you please hand me that paper towel? All right, now say what you said. Say what you said. Like, that's how it feels like happens. And cut.
Yeah, because my brain, and it might be a generational thing, my brain don't automatically think. I would be the person that y'all just, oh shit, something happened to it. Nobody, it was no film. No, because I'm not gonna be filming shit.
Yeah. But yeah, nah, if it's good chicken, handshaking won't stop me, said Keisha. I said it's hard to eat chicken with shaking hands. I didn't say it was impossible, sis. I didn't say it was gonna stop me. Raphael says, I'm in agreement on how difficult it is to eat chicken if your hands are fidgeting. That's why I don't share and eat it all. Preventing unnecessary frustration from these streets. Play that chicken song. Chicken.
Hey, that chicken.
We do love that chicken at BK. I don't know about that BK though. He might have been stretching when he said that BK. We love the chicken,
but we do love the chicken now.
We do love the chicken. And I mean, in all fairness, that BK chicken sandwich was hitting.
It was flames, wasn't it? All jokes aside, it was really good.
I know there's a lot of vegetarians that listen to the show, but it's not our fault.
Chickens are dying every day, people, at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Really?
Karen?
Yes.
Adebola says, I love your regular news ad libs. And King Charles is some dumb shit. Agreed. I don't want to watch that show with Charles Barkley and Gayle King.
And I'm not.
Episode 2701, Village People L. We got some comments. Let's see. Tootie Tar says, hey, Rod and Karen, the gonorrhea kissing story reminded me of an incident in my college campus on the 1990s. I went to a small private liberal arts college. There were 47 black folks of our 1,100 students. There were lots of technical virgins on campus, but doing everything but vaginal penetration, supposedly saving themselves for marriage. That sounds way freakier. Anywho, there was an outbreak of gonorrhea of the throat on campus. It was a whole mess. Gonorrhea of the throat. Sailor Agnes says, I'll be brief on the Bernie supporting Biden, but yeah, your bumbling ass better not fuck up 2024. He, the leftists, and the squad lowered the bar so low that Biden overachieved and then some in his first 2 years. Also, your own constituents don't want you that bad. We've seen the numbers and y'all don't vote anyway. Yes, if this were Hillary or Kamala, holier than thou people would raise the bar higher than a roof and then just demagogue them over and over despite ample proof that they aren't reckless.
Yes.
Obviously, the right does that enough already, so I get it. But these pig-headed liberals damage their goodwill to the point that they can't recover. White liberals do that enough already, but yeah, black and brown liberals can also kick rocks on that too. All I gotta say is fucking finally, Bernie. I don't think I want to see that poor man's Larry David lose again. I'm 35 and I'm exhausted by that fuck shit. RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson are running for the Dem seat, but they not gonna win shit. They'll say that some fucking propaganda, except Biden's more Teflon than Chris Evans. It don't work on him. Yeah, everything you said, I pretty much agree with. So, Eva E says, that moose story may seem adorable, but has anyone ever seen a moose on the loose in person? I have, and my soul nearly left my body.
I know it did. Woo.
I've seen videos of people doing shit like walking up to mooses, and they are so fucking big.
They almost like fucking dinosaurs. It was like, the fuck, why are you walking up on something that big, bitch?
I blame the propaganda of the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, making me think mooses is all adorable, goofy motherfuckers. Man, a moose, it might not eat no motherfucking animals and shit, but it'll fuck you up.
It'll fuck your car up. We watched, it was a documentary or something, it was about animals, and they were saying how a lot of places with moose during certain times of the year, like mating season, they said they have to deal with the male mooses fucking up shit. Because they actually fighting each other for mates. And you open up your door one day and these bitches out in your front yard tangling up with your oak tree, and you don't know what happened, flipping over your cars and shit.
Yeah, I remember there was a moose that ate. It was a documentary series about wild animals on Netflix, and I don't remember the name, y'all. I'm sorry, it's been that long. But it was a moose that was eating like fermented fruit on these trees in people's houses and people's yards, and it was getting the moose drunk because it was the fruit that fermented, and so it would get drunk and then just be ramming people's fucking yards and houses and cars and shit, all drunk.
No.
Yeah. I was in the backwoods town in Canada, and a moose started crossing the street towards me and the group I was with. Then as it got closer, he lowered his head like it was about to charge us. Mind you, I'm not exaggerating. That thing was at least 6'6", and the antlers are just as wide. We could not get out of there fast enough. I'll still trigger when I hear moose stories. Well, you know what you should have did at that restaurant? Pulled out your phone and went on TikTok Live or whatever and been like, I am over here trying to eat my pancakes and my chicken, and this moose is being racist. Go ahead and say what you were saying again, you racist ass moose.
don't see your death on TikTok.
This
What is
this racist moose want me to turn my phone down. I am over here watching Ghetto Gagas turned up the volume to a 10 all the way up, and then the racists don't want to see that. Appia says, "Yay for monogamy," says Appia after hearing about the gonorrhea news. Yeah, nobody ever says that part about monogamy. Probably because a lot of y'all be cheating, but just saying, nobody, like, whenever the motherfucking people that really just want to fuck a lot of people and not really be faithful to their relationship, y'all know the ones I'm talking about. I'm not talking about y'all actual polyamorous people and stuff.
Right.
I'm talking about the people that cheat but did be like, see, a male animal is supposed to breed,
Right,
you know what I'm
just-
saying? But the
yeah.
female, she's
Everybody
supposed,
need to be-
she got to have a baby. You know, they always make these like nature arguments for against monogamy. It's always like and it's like monogamy for women, but not for men. Y'all know the people I'm talking about, right? I never hear these dudes bring up STDs. You never hear it, because STDs are a natural occurring phenomenon that would say you should limit your risk factors so that you would have much less sex with much less people. But they don't ever talk about that part of nature. It's just women have to be pregnant and the men should be able to seed all the women's. And don't ask me for child support, 12th baby mama. I work at Subway.
Here's your 5 cents, basically.
On YouTube, A Third Spoonful says, not Karen combining Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher into one TV show. She might have just did something, though. I'd watch it. Listen, you know I watch Ryan Reacher. If that shit was real.
I don't know why I thought that was the name. It just made sense.
Honest to goodness, they should do the last season of both those shows should be a joint season called Ryan Reacher. And Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher just working together. All right, the poll. Crying Baby Sumo Festival, yay or nay?
That's a hard one, I guess. Yay.
Okay, most people said nay. 57% said nay. 43% said yay.
Oh, that baby's just crying.
And 62% said nay. 38% said yay on our Spotify. So
you know your baby's got good lungs.
People are not with this event with the Crying Baby Sumo Festival. To which I'm like, y'all racist as shit. Okay, let me pull out my phone on y'all for denigrating the Japanese culture. Okay. Rachel says, stick a pink umbrella in that bitch. Typhlosions. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The Q&A was Village People L, the beer for macho man. Rachel says, stick a pink umbrella in that bitch. Listen, I drink it. I think we came up with something here today. I don't
buy that.
I don't want to get sued, but local breweries in Charlotte, if you're listening to the show,
there's plenty of y'all out
Village
there.
People Ale, put it on a can. Typhlosion says, fun fact, the official YMCA organization does not support the YMCA song or use it in any official capacity. Is it really a fun fact? The YMCA for them stands for Christian.
Yes.
And last time I checked in America, Christian is not normally very supportive of LGBTQ issues. So yeah. But I guess they low-key unofficially supported because the whole song is about going to the YMCA and fucking other dudes. That's the whole point of the song. Okay. I hope I didn't
young man.
Yeah.
I said young man.
You can stay at the YMCA. They was getting it.
Come on.
Candy Cole says Lima Rita, Mango Rita, Strawberry Rita. For the ninjas, there's a Bud Light for everyone, and lots of emojis with horses and rainbows and unicorns.
I probably have all those. Those sound delicious.
Mm-hmm. Now I know Guinness has been about that life since the 90s. It makes sense that our drink of choice for getting started with alcohol was Guinness in the parts of Nigeria I lived in. The beer for macho man, says Raphael. Fifi just has 3 eggplant emojis, and I don't know what these other emojis are.
Not 3 eggplant emojis.
I just can't. It just either didn't come across right or just can't tell. Beers. They're beers. There's beers. It's like when you share a beer, like so that's what they are. And then that's it for this episode. Let's go to the next one, episode 2702, which is the last episode for the week. It's setting the mass killing record. 2 comments. Evie says the internet is a funny place. Those 2 girls who mocked that influencer was dumb, but the way people have gone after their family members at places of business that don't even work at has been extreme. I get that they did a shitty thing, but at what point do the anti-bulliers become the bullies? Right.
That's when you talk about doxing and all that stuff. I was like, y'all know what? It's actually fucked up on both sides. Everybody want to claim it's justice when it's their side, but it's fucked up.
Also, you've done something worse than they did. Like if your big reason you were mad at them is that they mocked this girl who was an influencer at the game, and that's a totally good reason to be like, yeah, I don't like that or whatever. Once you start trying to destroy their fucking lives, you're worse than what they were doing. They weren't trying to destroy that woman's life, at least. Mm-hmm. They just were like, this shit is whack. This is funny. Immature, blah, blah, blah. You trying to get them fired from their jobs is so much different.
Yes, it is.
The recording of this official in Oklahoma, those officials in Oklahoma, was a chef's kiss of racism. That they were able to talk so freely about that with each other, I worry for the black and brown people in that community, because those officials will probably investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing. Like Karen said, this is why voting matters, from the school board to the city council.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They were that tape was wild. I'm gonna have me some barbecue. Yeah, we can fry them up. I'm like, was this even when was the racism also cannibalism? I read a lot of Black history. That's a new one for me.
A new one for me too.
Eating the black people. All right. Abigail says, my parents can be annoying sometimes, but I'm 100% sure they would never kidnap our children. Blessed. I bet you they was 100% sure before he kidnapped their kids, though. So think about it, Abigail. Okay. You don't know till you know. Might want to check those credit scores, make sure they ain't got no gambling debt. I don't know if gambling's legal in Germany. But yeah, okay. So let me check the comments on YouTube for this one if we got any. Looks like we got one from Steven, who says, I feel like the computer should be in the fucking with black people segment every time it won't do what Rod wants. Yeah. No rhyme or reason to it either, because like it wasn't doing that that long ago, and now it is. Mm-hmm. And I today I turned it off and restarted it just to see if maybe that would help. But I don't know. Who knows, guys? This is what it's like when you don't have a Mac, apparently. According to the MacBook people. The poll: making parents who harass umpires have to umpire for 3 games. I'm for it. I'm against it. Fuck you. And then that means you got to write the next 3 polls. 87% says I'm for it. 13% say I'm against it. 0% say fuck you. So ain't nobody want to do that. And then on Spotify though, the people with the money, 89% say they for it. Only 2% say they're against it. And fuck you, next 3 polls, 9% of y'all. So y'all gotta write the next 3 polls. Okay. Yeah. That'll teach you that how hard it is to do this job. Since you got it, you won't be got all the answers. Okay. And then the Q&A, USA. America, fuck yeah. If the white parents get to send the kids to school with lice and guns, a black mom can't yell at an umpire on that Chardonnay. Keisha says, if we're good at anything, it's mass shootings. We the best. James Clay says, guns bless the U.S. Guns bless the USA. In guns we trust. Hashtag I'm proud to be an American. And Adabola says, this place is on fire. Yes, it is. And Roger says, TikTok does have more narrator voices, but I guess white lady voice is the most popular. USA was number 1. Okay, I didn't know.
I didn't know. That's
the one I hear all the time.
All the time. I don't know if you can select or is she the default and people just don't know how to change it.
They be going up for that motherfucking white girl voice, man. That's they shit. All right, let's get into the voicemails. voicemail. Let's go.
Hey, Rod, Karen, this is your boy, Walt Thomas, the Blue Wave Rider.
Oh,
I heard your show today talking about Don Lemon, and you kind of hit a hot spot for me there because I guess I have to shout out Roland Martin because he's been saying all along that Black people do not have a platform to tell our story our way. Most of the Black-owned media that you see on television, most of oh, I'm messing this up.
okay. All right. He left another voicemail. Let's go back.
All right, we're going to try this again. This
Okay.
is your boy, the Blue Wave Rider. I heard your show about Don Lemon and the fact that he wasn't going to stay in the box they tried to put him in. And I have to shout out Roland Martin because he's been saying for a while we need to be able to tell our own story, our own way, on our own platforms. Because as long as you work for a white man, he's going to tell you what you can say and how much you can say. And you just don't have the freedom to tell it like it truly is. That's why folks like Tiffany Cross and Jamel Hill got put out. They was too raw and too real, and the white listeners didn't like it. We have a lot of so-called Black channels, but they're not Black-owned, they Black-targeted. I also think it's very interesting that you can't turn on any one of these so-called Black channels and get a 1 hour long news report like you can on the major networks. You know, there's very little Black news out there of a serious nature. A lot of foolishness, a lot of entertainment, but no hard news. So anyway, that was just my opinion on the subject. They don't want us telling our real truth. And that's why they're crying about critical race theory and wokeness. It's just a way of saying, why don't you niggas be quiet? Because we don't want to hear all that. Love your show. And I think I'm under my 2 minutes. Catch y'all later. Bye.
You are.
Oh,
Good job.
Thank you, sweetie. You made me think about something. The thing is, also, do Black people want to hear real Black news? And the reason why I said that is because BET years ago used to have news where they would literally cover the news. And a lot of those shows were literally some of their lowest rated shows, which is one reason why they got rid of it and started going towards other things. So it's like, yes, people want the news, but also kind of the disadvantage sometimes is like a lot of these Black stations, they don't have the capital or support and to able to do all the things sometimes that they want to do. And so it's one of those things where news can be presented, but the way people consume and read the news is shifted. You know, your local, Channel 9, Channel 6, Channel 4, all those things. The reason why a lot of those stations are still around and still air is because you have a lot of older people that actually still watch those basic channels. But a lot of things like BET, some of these are like kind of off the map. And like a lot of those people who would actually watch something like that are not going there. So if you do present the news on these stations, you also have to consider your targeted audience and how they consume it and adapt and adjust. Like Roger say, I have social media people and things like that where you can put the truths and the facts out there. I agree. There needs to be this thing, but also ratings matter too. And so it's one of those things where it's a fine balance.
The ratings thing is interesting because it's about expectations and less about actual ratings. There are shows that people are willing to take a loss for, and they can always make an argument against your ratings no matter what they are.
Right.
There's been times where like a successful Black show, it was called unsuccessful, replaced by a show that was not Black, that got worse ratings or less ratings, and people would call it a success, because the people shaping the narrative are not us. And yes, while those news shows may not have gotten as much ratings as if they were to just rerun or do like a reality show of like, I forget the college show they had on BET or whatever, like, oh, we'll just run this instead. It's cheaper to make and less scripted and all this stuff. And yeah, that's a decision people might make for money. I get it. But there's also just the idea of if someone stands behind it because it's important, it'll stay. So, people make things stay if they want them to in a lot of cases.
Agreed.
And it's just who has the wherewithal to put there's been a lot of mediocre, not black shit that people have just said, I'm fighting for this. It's important to me to just be on TV. That being said, yeah, you're right. We don't have the platforms and we don't have the voices. And also when we do have black platforms, we're not a monolith. So that doesn't mean that every black platform is going to have a diversity of black voices, or that the voices that are being promoted, the ones that succeed, are going to be the serious ones that you want. Like, that's what Karen's saying, and I think that's undergirds a lot of this. Think about this. In places where black people have the ability to pick and choose exactly who they want to listen to, what wins out? When like a corporation can't make you pick what podcast you want to listen to. There's not a podcast radio channel. So podcasting is a great like individual situation where we're like, these are the people who are winning podcasting by getting downloads and plays. Look at the kind of black person that's at the top of that list. It's hard for it to be a kind of more serious minded, thoughtful person. Typically people kind of like a circus clown show. I'm not going to name any names, and it's not out of like jealousy or anger or whatever. It's just, I don't want to distract y'all, but you know the list. And the thing we'll never know for sure is how many of those lists are white people deciding they want to listen to, and those are why those people's numbers are big. But it's also like, why do white people pick to listen to those guys? What are their opinions on things? What are they saying? What are they not saying? What conversations do they refuse to engage in? What critical thought do they refuse to do? What reading and research do they refuse to do? Those people are at the top. And even colloquially, anecdotally, within the black spaces that I occupy, when I talk to people about podcasting, those are the people they listen to. They may listen to us too, but they listen to them too. And it's just, so I don't know how much of it is something white people are doing to us, something we're doing to ourselves, or something we really even shouldn't judge, because it's not really about, like, not everything will have to be for the culture in a positive way. Sometimes people just like some mess. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers and stuff. Be interesting to see where Don Lemon lands, and it'll also be interesting if that, because it's a conspiracy. I don't have any proof. I do feel like he got fired for that shit, for pushing back on that man. And they'll never be able to disprove it. But I see the unblackening of the airwaves. It seemed to be the black people that push back that get gone. So.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's also one of the things where, like I said before, I do agree with you. But when it comes to, it needs to be more representation. Like, these things need to be out there where you could have a variety of black voices, versus a lot of times when these things do pop up, everybody heaps all of blackness on these things, and then they don't meet everybody's expectations. So then everybody turns on and act like it ain't shit, or it's ghetto, or it's beneath them, because it don't meet whatever their quote unquote unique style of blackness is, whatever that is.
It's very complicated.
Right. And that becomes also a problem too. And how do you keep people? How do you keep viewers? How do you keep different generations? Because different generations consume things.
Well, and why do you want? It just depends. Because like I'm with him on this, and I understand his point. But I would say our podcast engages in a level of foolishness and ridiculousness at time, and humor and whatnot. And I'm sure there's certain black people that look down on that. There's black people that don't say the N-word that look down on what we do. So it's it's just all relative, and it's hard to have like a unified perspective when there's a cacophony of voices and we're not monolithic in nature. What I do know is, and I think we all can agree on, is that no authentic black voice is gonna really be safe ever on these white platforms. And to be fair, no voice is ever really safe on a platform they don't own. They get rid of Tucker Carlson can get it if he get too far out of line. Like You don't own the space. You just rent it, you know? All right. We had one more voicemail, and it's from my girl D Ramsey, PhD.
The reason why I'm whispering is because I'm in the hair salon. This is PhD from Texas. That Village People L episode, 5 stars just for Karen's cackle and laugh. And of course, Rod doing his voiceover work and characters. Y'all have a good day and have a good weekend. Peace.
Thank you.
Oh shit, you know it's important now. You call us while you getting your hair did.
Right? we done made it to the beauty salon segment.
Come on.
All right, last segment is email. All right. This was a comment on YouTube, but it was to an episode from last week, so I saved it to our email so I won't forget to read it.
Okay.
Tamik says, some statistics show that 1 in 6 American women have either been raped or have had rape attempted. These stats, while distressing and overwhelming, are not limited to America. Rape and rape culture is common everywhere. That being said, it would be extremely rare that there was an actor, musician, or artist who either has not been a perpetrator or survivor. I am no longer shocked or surprised when I hear a well-known person is an abuser or a rapist because the statistics tell us different. I'm not saying that we should not be disgusted, and but I am saying that the issue is so pervasive that the culture itself needs to change. If we were to not watch every movie where there was an actor who had a history of violence and sexual assault, there would be a lot of movies we would have to boycott. And not just that, but like you're also talking about, in this case with beef, we don't know that something happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean that to be like, I'm not trying to sound naive or like a dummy, but I'm just saying like, it's been 9 years. No one's come forward. No evidence of anything. We know this dude has made what he considers to be funny stories that were also lies. And it's him going, my mental health, da 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 da. All I'm saying is this ain't a court of law and I can't prove he did shit. And that's before you get to this nigga's the 8th lead on a goddamn show where he's in 3 or 4 episodes for a little bit of time for the most part. Like this feels like it's something different, but people are trying to tell me it's something else. You know what I mean? And then the way that they moved it into, we need to denigrate the main 2 actors and the creator of the show is also feels a bit like a witch hunt. It doesn't feel like an actual thing we believe. And this is one of the things, and it's the hypocrisy, but also just the conflict of just being a human, right? My personal belief is like, you do have to have some level of forgiveness for people that admit they've done wrong. You have to have some level of understanding for someone that said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing. Like, I do believe in that. I really do.
I do too, because the thing is, nobody's perfect, and you have fucked up some way, shape, form, or fashion, and somebody has extended that grace to you. But a lot of people, they only wanted to extend it to themselves. They won't extend it out unless it's like their children. Some people won't even extend it out to their mate, significant other, the person they're sleeping with. There's something about children. But you know what? Children grow up and become adults. They, guess what? Do the same thing that all adults do. Disappoint, hurt, and all this stuff because they're people just like anybody else.
Yeah, so I do want to believe in that. I believe people should get a second chance. I believe people should be able to work a bunch of shit, and I feel like where I get stuck is just how passionate people are as they are diametrically opposed to shit they said. Like it's the we gotta let everybody out of jail people, but also they be the main people leading the charge of the social death penalty. It's we care about mental health, but not when the mental health leads to you saying or doing some shit we don't like. Right. Then all of a sudden mental health isn't an excuse, even though it's a reason all the goddamn time, and your brain chemistry don't care about that shit. It's not sitting around being a convenient excuse. If that's what happened, that's what happened. I don't know what you do with these people because they are so carceral to me on the one hand, but then pretending to not be, and it's like they're trying to gaslight you with that bullshit where it's like, oh no, I'm such a great person, I ain't tearing the other cheek, da da da. Also, never take the high road. I'm petty as hell, and no one open up the prisons. No one should go to jail. We don't need police. We don't need prisons. Also, nobody who's ever said something I disagree with should ever work again, and they should go to prison if they, shoot Megan Thee Stallion, but not if they shoot another kid just in the hood. They shouldn't go to jail for that. We need to just change the environment. We need to just change this. Also, everybody, you guys know there's a lot of people with sexual assaults. There's a lot of people being sexually assaulted. All these people are out here in this world. I'm never surprised, but also when I find you, I'm gonna act like Frankenstein. I'm gonna come get you. And you can't be rehabilitated, and you can't ever stop or change the behavior. You'll always be a dangerous predator forever, but also like, what I'm saying, like ban the box. So we want you to be able to apply for any job, and employers shouldn't even be thinking about that. But also if something happens at a job, that is on the employer as well as the person that did it. And if you also happen to work there at the time, it's on your fault too, because you just happen to be there. If you're friends with a person that's made a mistake, you're part of the problem. You basically made the mistake too, and you cover for them, and you have their back, and you agree with what they did. Like, everything I'm saying is how the messaging comes across, and it's so inconsistent.
Yes.
It's human. It's very human, but it's not something you can really engage in with good faith, because these niggas are all over the place, and everything I just said, pick a side, mostly comes down to liking or not liking somebody. Mm-hmm. And I don't even mean disliking. I mean not liking. As in, I never heard this man until 3 seconds ago. I've decided to ruin his life because I don't like him. I don't know him.
Right.
And doing this is a thing for me. So I agree with you. I think about that all the time. Whenever I hear somebody say they wouldn't like, and I never tell, I'm never going to tell you to watch something or not watch something. But if you tell me like, oh, I don't watch football because Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist or something, that's if you said that to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, what about the other teams? I'm just like, okay, cool, that's your line.
Right.
But then when you later on are like, anyway, so I was watching basketball, I'm like, somebody definitely, like, I don't know if you heard, but statistically it's impossible. I don't know why we want to live in this bubble where none of this shit is happening. Somebody did something. You either want to know or you don't want to know. But the idea that you're walking around thinking everything's squeaky clean until you're not, that makes you the one that's naive. And I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off because you want to live in a fantasy land. My personal thing is like, people do horrible shit all the time, whether they get second chance or not.
Right.
I'm not trying to virtue signal with my consumption. It's just that's not my thing. I don't need that. I don't need you to think good of me because I don't watch Woody Allen movies.
Right.
I don't watch Woody Allen movies because I don't like Woody Allen movies. I could get some extra credit, and you could be like, because you're a good person. It's like not really true, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna watch something at some point that some motherfucker has done some ain't shit in, and I was like, yeah, I enjoyed that show, and I wasn't even thinking about that shit when I watched it.
Yeah, for some things, this is a faux out. I don't consume it anyway, and a lot of people don't admit they don't consume the shit. Yeah. Like, so it's not really a boycott if you don't consume it.
Orlando says, good evening, Rod. I have a question about the ads in the episodes. If you can't answer the question, I totally understand. I wanted to know, do you know if you all get ad revenues from ads even if they're not being streamed? The reason I ask is because I use Podcast Addict and download all the episodes. I usually skip the ads, but I wanted to know if that affects y'all's revenue. I wouldn't think that ad trackers will still be able to track or download episodes, but if they are, I can stop skipping them. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate all your hard work. Tell Karen I said hello as well. Take care.
Hey, baby, I'm right here. Hey.
First of all, Orlando, this is like the sweetest email, okay? That you even care about this shit is amazing to me. Personally, I think if you download something, or even if you get it through like Apple Podcasts, the platform we use, which is Anchor, pay Spotify for podcasters now. Mm-hmm. They can't tell whether you listen to it or not. if it's not on Spotify.
Right.
If you listen on Spotify, they can actually tell to the second if you skip the ad. I can literally go look at the playing of each episode and the numbers when they dip, when we have an ad and when y'all come back, or when we play music and y'all. The thing for me is, if we wanted it to look like a straight line, we could do no ads, no musical interludes, and just, and no segments that people might find to be a bummer, or, no stories that people might want to skip, no long-winded conversations. But I feel like at the end of the day, I didn't make a podcast to become like a robot and get the most listeners and the most ad numbers ever. So if y'all skip, y'all skip. If it's not even on Spotify, they can't even tell, and it won't matter. We get paid a flat rate for that. It's not as much, obviously, but we get paid a flat rate. And as far as the Spotify, I mean, even if y'all do skip on Spotify, it's not up to me. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. When I listen to shows, I skip around shit sometimes too. So it's just, we're all human. We all got a limited amount of time. It's very sweet that you cared, but don't worry about it.
Thank you, baby.
Cavis writes in, when you do clownery, LOL. Hey, Rod and Karen, I've seen a lot of coverage and discussion on the dude that leaked documents in the Discord chat and thought maybe I should share my different perspective. Maybe I'll write something more in-depth in a blog. I like that you just wrote up here to use us as your blog. I like that. I don't even know if we talked about this nigga at all on the show. The new leaker that was posting the government's documents on Discord is clearly different from Snowden and Manning. Posting rando docs over the course of a year to impress your underage friends in a Discord chat ain't the same as sending specific types of documents around the topic of government corruption and abuse through secure channels to official reporters who then review the documents before publishing. Oh yeah, we definitely didn't talk about this shit. I don't know any of these facts. You just saying so. This is low key like just. I think you just wanted to have some friends talk to you
about it.
All right. Well, you know what? This was on your heart. Let's just go ahead and do it, okay? Also, they keep saying Snowden's leaks are going to hurt people in the field, but the only time I heard the news confirmed deaths of agents was when Trump got in office. So there's that. Okay. Also, I'm wondering if this. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just we literally didn't talk about this. And I don't want to be like even more of a dick, but if we didn't talk about it, probably because we didn't care that much. Like, we didn't go into depth. We was like, nigga was leaking some shit. That's crazy. Anyway, coming up next,
they were like, you gonna get all the facts.
Dame Helen Mirren had them thighs out at the beach. We probably talked about that longer. And also, I'm wondering if this new leaker is indirectly a result of them having had troubles recruiting younger people due to their unethical, maybe even illegal, but human laws are squishy due to public opinion behaviors. This was one of the results of the Snowden leaks, but I suspect anyone that worked on or knew the internet's infrastructure would have saw the low-hanging fruit for the world spy agencies, i.e. a few cables in the ocean got everybody internet traffic. But some might have hoped a gentleman's agreement, for lack of a better phrase, in the sense of not wanting to short-stop a globally empowering system that's also connected to the financial system.
It's turned left.
But hey, maybe I'm just too sensitive and spoiled to be okay with the continued and in some cases drastic erosion of our privacy by colonial imperial governments or just rich folks that then will sell the data and use it to create AI manipulative programs. I should have had some gummies before this show. I'm
like, this turned left.
I'm not nearly high enough for this. But on a positive note, even though this whole saga as a personal privacy has taken place without consent votes of the governed until the last couple of years, in some states, they have made some changes since those leaks in regards to their mass surveillance spying. Although more could be done. Full disclosure, I do work in the data space. All right, well, hey, good for you, man. We love and people being employed. In the mail this week. Now, this was not in our post box because I didn't go to check the post box. I need to do that. Mm-hmm. But in the mail this week, we did get something because I ordered from one of my favorite places, Born Beautiful Naturals. And they're based in the UK. Mm-hmm. And so I use their products for my beard. It works every time. Okay. And she's a fan of the show. Katie writes in all the time. I forget her Twitter name. I feel like she has two. But anyway, There I was out of this spray for my beard, and so I went ahead and ordered it. But I guess she literally can see like our names when we order stuff sometimes.
So they don't be on
And I never, and like I never order it. Like I never try to make a big deal. Like I never try to get shit for free. Like, hey girl, I'm about to put in an order. I'm gonna need some of that not free moisturizing detangling spray. If you know what's up, shouty.
I'll pay.
This is not an ad read. This is not a sponsorship. This is just straight up. I use this product, and I wasn't even really thinking that deep about it. And I got it, and she sent a note that says, "Hello to my faves. Thank you for continuing to support my little business. Since I missed Karen's birthday, please find one of our new signature toiletry bags she can use on one of the upcoming trips you better take her on, smiley face, or for the next trip to NYC. Love you both, Katie at #1 Feeling." That is the thing. And then she got you this Born Beautiful's bag so you can pack it whatever you put your toiletries in.
I don't know what a toiletry bag is.
Like stuff that you use in the bathroom,
okay.
and like I don't know, you can use it for probably makeup, a bunch of stuff.
Ooh, yes.
So yeah, thank you. We appreciate all of that. Now listen, I'm gonna get out of here before the government surveillance in the third state of the of the surveillance agenda comes down on our show. Okay, we don't know what's being heard. We got people in the data space, they data mining, third party oligarchs are capitalizing on the data and then they're just selling our information wholesale, all willy-nilly. But you don't want to talk about that. Y'all not ready for that truth, okay? Because the black public space, when you on a white man's platform like Crowdcast, you don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
okay,
don't.
So let me hop off of here before we get into an international incident. Okay, well, I'm gonna see you guys on the Discord thread. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what the documents say. Let me know if Joe Byron and them is all up in our DM.